Hi, everyone, and welcome to this Early Career Ocean Professionals Program webinar. I see there's already 4 attendees. Laura Valentina, you're going to be moderating this webinar, so I'll leave any further introductions up to you. But to those who are here already, please don't hesitate to introduce yourselves in the chat.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Laura. Welcome to the episode 43 of the ECOP program webinar series. You can just type in the chat about your career, your name, even put your LinkedIn link if you want the chat, just for have a connection. We were waiting some minute for the people to start to entry, but feel free to ask or to put something in the QR box if you want to say something.
Maybe in the meantime, I can already share a small poll to get to know the audience a little bit better. So those who are already here, you should see a little screen pop up with a few questions. Are you an early career ocean professional, an ECOP? How do you interact with the ocean? Where are you joining us from? And have you participated in a citizen science project or used citizen science? I think this will be quite interesting as well for Laura Trouille, the invited speaker of this webinar. Maybe Laura Valentina, you can tell the audience a bit more about Laura Trouille, her background, and what she will be telling us in today's webinar.
Yes. Well, first, the topic our today is crowdsourced research with Zooniverse, unlocking your data and engaging the public in your research. So the topic in general way, today we are exploring how to unlock data by engaging the public through citizen science. This is for allowing thousands of volunteers to help to do science discovery faster and more like accurately data, like in participating. Dr. Trouille serves like a vice president of science engagement at the Adler Planetarium. She is the principal investigator of Zooniverse. She earned her PhD in astronomy from the University of Wisconsin in Madison, where her research were focused on the evolution of galaxies and supermassive black holes. Beyond her significant contributions to open science at Ethical IA, Laura Trouille is also a strong advocate for work-life balance and for maintaining a sense of humor within a scientific career. So an very interesting thing of her is that besides of unlocking the secrets of the universe, Laura was also a roller derby queen, known as the Big Bang ANAP moniker. She was training with the Matt Rolling Dolls team. Other interesting thing is that she's also a sled walker and trapeze artist in Cricopia. So she has like a wide experience even in science, in art, and in sports. She is currently like navigating in being mom, so it's very inspiring all the things that that she can achieve being like a great scientist too. If you are joining from over the globe today, you can just start to do the poll that is in the screen. So before we begin, just a general indications. This session is being recorded and we are available on the ECOP website. There is a Q&A box, so you can type your questions at any time, and we will address them at the end. So whatever you are, if you are an early career research, you are scientific, you are just curious about science, so you're in the right place. Well, like ECOP and like this mission to ECOP program is to support these early career ocean professionals um, and connect with opportunities globally. So this is a great topic to learn and to know more about these tools to connect science around the world. And so this is exactly where today's topics come in. Platforms like Zooniverse that provides those eyes by connecting global citizens to our local research. So, well, without further more, please join me and welcome to this amazing webinar with Dr. Laura Trouille. Feel free to tell us more about yourself and your academic and professional experience. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you so much for that introduction. It is a pleasure to be joining you. Just to note, I'm clicking on the share screen and there we go. Excellent. Okay, tell me, do you see my screen okay? Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to joining your community. This will be a whirlwind hour. I'll share an overview of what the Zooniverse platform is, and we'll have a full sort of demo and workshop for how to use our Project Builder platform. I'll also share a little bit about my own career pathway here at the beginning, just because you're a community of early career professionals. And I know when I was going through things, it just was so helpful to hear about different people's pathways. And so I'm joining you from Chicago. This is the Adler Planetarium, where I'm the VP of Science Engagement. And it's just this lovely view of the city, a really beautiful institution. My pathway to getting to the Adler is through, as a physics major, I've always loved science. And fell in love with telescopes, looking through telescopes, being the potential for discoveries. Um, and along the way, I also knew that I really enjoyed engaging the public in science. And so throughout my PhD, I was always looking for opportunities for not just the STEM skills and the research experience, but also for feeding the other parts of my interests, which I can imagine many of you are just multifaceted people. And so you're looking for ways to both do the science, but also engage with the world around you. As a postdoc at Northwestern University, I was still researching supermassive black holes, how galaxies change over time. It's fun to be an astronomer communicating with a group of ocean researchers, but you'll see why in a moment. While I was a postdoc, opportunities opened up at the Adler Planetarium to do public science communication. And so first I just started volunteering, started to get to know all the different staff who were at the museum, and learned more about museum career pathways just by talking directly with the people in the institution. And so if you have interests in beyond academia, it definitely helped me to talk directly with people in those sort of alternate career pathways and get a feel for what they were doing and what the possibilities were. And then about 15 years ago, a role opened up where I could then actually have a paid position jointly between Northwestern and the Adler. And then that evolved into the role I have today. But I'm sure many of you have gotten this advice of if you might not see the exact job that you want, you can talk with people who might become advocates for the type of position you're interested in and just build up a shared language and a shared goals, and then see if you can create it together with people who already have maybe more power or authority than you might at the early career stage. I'm very, very grateful for the role that I have. And if I can be of use to this community, feel free to reach out to me and just talk about career pathways beyond academia if that's of interest to you.
Yes, and
Okay.
Laura, I think that's amazing that you're sharing your career path with early career ocean professionals. And I was just having a look at the poll that we launched, and maybe it can be interesting to share the results because the
Mm.
first question, are you in ECOP? There's some divided answers. A lot of people say yes, but some say no. So maybe those are people that are even more advanced in their career already. So I will quickly share the results of the poll, and then you get to know the audience a bit as well.
Oh, this is great. Yes. It's good to see the mix of uh, folks in academia, but also in policy and education and outreach. Excellent. And then such a global community of people across Europe, Central and South America, Africa, Asia. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing the results. Okay. So let's dive into Zooniverse. And in general, ways to engage the public directly in your research. So part of the mission of Zooniverse is very much advance research and discovery. Make accessible tools for researchers that help unlock your data, and just build knowledge. And then very tightly coupled to that goal is fostering meaningful public engagement in real research, all the ways in which we're trying to break down barriers between the world of researchers and scientists and the general public in order to build understanding of how science works and build a sense of belonging and community across that divide of scientists and the public. Zooniverse is a global platform led by the Adler Planetarium, the University of Minnesota, and the University of Oxford, with 3 million people around the world who make this possible. Um, and this page is just showing the slash projects page, which is right now there's 67 active projects, and we have projects all across the disciplines. We started with a single project back in 2007, Galaxy Zoo, on classifying galaxies. And then part of the power of this platform is we've been able to use the same research infrastructure, the same tools, but for marking the structure of cells for cancer research, for transcribing historic documents, for tagging penguins, which you'll see in a moment. So across the disciplines. And today I'll focus in on our on the ecology side of the environmental sustainability type of projects, and specifically ocean-related projects. It helps to see what a project is, to get a feel for how the platform works, and it might inspire ideas for how this might apply to your research or people in your network who have data sets that this might be useful for. So Ocean Eyes is a project based in the Hawaiian Islands, and it's all about marking different fish species. And I like Dr. Richards' quote, which is they just have more data than that research team could label themselves. And so they work with local fishermen to gather the underwater ROV images of these specific special fish around this part of the world. And then they're crowdsourcing, having the public help them mark and label the different species that are there. And then the interface itself, it's always on the left is some kind of image or audio file or video clip that the research team uploads into our platform. And then on the right is the task. In this case, it's a marking task and then a follow-up question. So it's a very simple infrastructure in terms of the interface experience. And every project has about pages where the research team describes what this research is about, why they're asking the public to help with this, why we need the public's time. In this case, Ocean Eyes is all about sustainable fishing policies. So they work very closely with those who set policy to share the data and how the fish counts, the abundance, catch, etc., are evolving over time. So the out pages provide that background info. The classify page is where the public helps actually do the data classifying. Another example Again, it's an image on the left. This is using underwater ROV data from the Seattle Aquarium and their partners. And it's a very simple yes/no task. Is what's labeled actually what's shown in the image? This is an example that I'm sharing because it's also integrated with machine learning. So they have AI machine learning algorithms pass through the data first. That provides this label of, we think it's cobble as the substrate. And then we're having the public, in a sense, verify what the machine learning says, especially for images where the machine learning is less confident, or also just to keep building up the training set for that model. In projects that use AI in our platform, we're very transparent in the communication with our participants, like through the tutorial, through the about pages, that this is a machine learning training project. In this type of project, the goal is to understand kelp coverage off the coast of California and Seattle, all the way up the whole Pacific coast, trying to get a feel for the health of our kelp forests as ocean temperatures and different parameters within our oceans are changing. Another example is penguin watch. This I wanted to share because if you might have drone imagery or satellite imagery, that's a lot of just manual processing, labeling. This is an example of that. So this is drone imagery across the Antarctic islands and looking at penguins. So adults, chicks, eggs, there might be predator birds around, and you're just tagging them. So it's a marking task. And you might have noticed that quite a bit of the page is translated. So in the upper right, you might see, oh, it's the language is Spanish. And just to note that our platform has the ability to translate projects into different languages since we are a global community of participants. And so we crowdsource, we volunteer the translations of projects as well. So if that is something you might be interested in, there's a whole role within Zooniverse as a translator. Um, and the Penguin Watch project is an example also of policy impact. So all of these projects lead to research publications, but they also are used in order to set policy. So these are the Georgia and South Sandwich Islands off the coast of Antarctica. There was a marine protected area, and then the Penguin Watch data showing breeding and penguin numbers, and just they're a charismatic species that helps tell the story of climate impacts and fishing impacts in that region. And so these data helped expand the marine protected area around these islands. And that's the goal, is have crowdsourced research grow knowledge, grow discovery, and grow our ability to set smart policies just for a healthy Earth. So that's the Penguin Watch project. And then there, at any given time in the ecology side of our platform, there's about 20 to 30 active projects. So I was just showcasing a couple that were specifically ocean related. I was looking at, it seems like in any given year, there's about 10 projects that are ocean related on our platform. And I would love for there to be more. And so that's part of the reason for this type of webinar, is showcasing how to use the free Project Builder platform. The video that was just showing was just, we have our browser-based experience, which I was showing in the previous screenshots, and then also a mobile platform, especially if you have a simple yes/no type project like this one, our Sea Lions Present. It's a very quick, and it's a nice task to do, like on a commute on the train, or just it's quite calm, and to label images like that. So the mobile app is really useful for quick tasks. As I mentioned at the beginning, driving force is research and discovery. It's in this context of, in modern research, we're characterized by big data sets. In astronomy, we have the Rubin Observatory coming online. It's going to capture 40 terabytes of data every night. In ocean research, you have underwater ROVs, you have satellite imagery, you have tons of data collection happening. And oftentimes it can be with, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of images that need labeling in some way. And so crowdsourcing, and especially crowdsourcing in combination with machine learning algorithms, really help address that analysis gap. Uh, this is another favorite way to show that same idea. This is from a grad student who is working on a biomedical project. And so in orange, it shows their progress of labeling data over the years of their PhD. They have, they need 2.5 million labels, and they'll complete maybe a few 100,000. If you bring in the Zooniverse crowd to help them with their project, they can reach 2.5 million in a year or so. And then if you also integrate machine learning into your project, for this particular one, not all projects AI can be helpful, but for many it is, and it just makes the speed at which you unlock the data that much faster. But thank you to the crowd for making this kind of research and data unlocking possible on timelines that are reasonable. So there's the research impacts that's been clear since 2007 with over 500 projects that we've launched. There's also the very clear impact on volunteers. This is one of my favorite stories of it, but you have it across the disciplines where, so Caesar and his dad, Miguel, really enjoy, or Caesar's the dad, he really enjoys astronomy, sharing it with his son, and through the Planet Hunters project. And then they happen to be part of a discovery team through the Zooniverse Planet Hunters project of big gas giant planets around a distant star. And so it's a game changer for a 7-year-old kid to be part of a discovery like that at such a young age and to say, yep, I definitely have a place at the table and a way to make a difference through science. So tons of different volunteer impacts, but in a short talk, I won't go further there. The other piece I wanted to showcase is that every Zooniverse project has a discussion forum embedded in it. Part of the commitment from the researchers when you create a Zooniverse project, the crowd is going to help you unlock that data. Then you have a responsibility to share with them about the science, to be responsive to their questions, to engage directly. And it's part of breaking barriers between researchers and the public, of just being in the discussion forum, chatting with them, and then the participants are chatting with each other about the science and about their interests. So the discussion forum is a really vibrant place within the Zooniverse. The quick by the numbers is just, we launched the actual platform in 2009. We've launched over 500 projects. We're about to reach, it actually might be today that it's a fun timing for this webinar, but we're going to reach 3 million participants, registered participants, probably today or tomorrow. Over the years, we've had 20 million hours of participation, and then it's looking like we're on track in August to reach 1 billion classifications or 1 billion acts of science. And it all leads to many publications, and it's all possible because of so many people around the world. It's fun to see. So the top countries are the US and UK, because that's where our founding institutions are, and we're most known in those two countries, but also India, Canada, and then you keep going down, and there's 200 plus countries that are involved. And okay. I think one more slide or two, and then I'm going to dive into the actual Project Builder platform and doing the demo. Part of how Zooniverse works is just through partnerships. And this is a lesson for any kind of project you're involved in, building trusting and deep relationships with other research institutions is a way to scale. So the core team is Adler, Oxford, and Minnesota, but this is just a subset of the many, many different institutions we partner with, who each project is led by a different research team. And it's everybody from aquariums to zoos to libraries to museums to research institutions, universities, national labs, observatories. Many, many, many different organizations use this free platform to unlock their data. Okay, so let's dive into the Project Builder platform. What this is a simple browser-based interface, And we launched it back in 2015, having won a Google Global Impact Award and a Sloan Foundation grant, in order to make it so that anybody could build their own crowdsourced research project for free. Before 2015, our small team of web developers, we would launch 2 to 3 projects a year. And then after 2015, with this interface, we launch 30 to 40 projects, and it's the research teams who build the project through the interface, and then we have a launch process for it. So zooniverse.org/lab is the URL to access this interface. And what I'm going to do is go through a demo of building a simple project. So I know in a webinar, it's easy just to sit back and listen, but I really recommend actually do the steps that I'm demoing. It's super simple. It's a silly project that I'm going to have you build. I'll give you all the sort of image and visual assets as to build it. You're welcome to swap other things in as you're building, but by just creating an account and starting a project, it really lowers the barrier for you or for somebody in your network who might say, you know what, that actually is a good platform or resource for me to use. So I highly recommend going ahead and actually building as you follow along. So what I'm going to do is switch from showing the slide deck to going into this instruction sheet. So one of my co-hosts is going to post the link for this instructions doc into the chat, and that way you can click on it and follow along. The first step is an easy one, which is just to log in. When you're logging into Zooniverse, the only thing that's needed is a name and a password. And your email address. And so we take minimal personal identifying information because we really just want people to be able to use the platform. So if you haven't already created an account, you'll just do a quick registration. As you can see, just simple username, email address, and a password is needed. So take a moment, sign in, and then once you're signed in, then you'll be able to go to this zooniverse.org/lab page, which is our project builder platform. So I'll pause for a moment while people are finishing registering, being able to log in. And then what's great is this whole webinar is recorded, and so you can always go back and view it afterwards and share it with your colleagues who might want to build a project. So you could create a new project, and we'll say April 20th demo. You can name it whatever you'd like. And click Create Project. And there we are with the start. This is the simple interface. And while you build, you'll be able to view your project. So right now it's just got all the fields waiting for you to put information into it. So our instructions sheet says, okay, now we're going to download this folder. So this is the folder where I just created a slew of assets. It's like permissions are so anybody can view. So you'll just click download, and that'll download those materials. I think I have done that here. All right, so I've got the materials here. Excellent. All right, so then in the project details tab, so that's this part of the interface, there's so here you are in the project details, and you can put in a short description of your project. And so I'm going to write, join me in discovery. Oh, and if there are questions, definitely my co-host will pause me and tell me, hey, answer this question, like if anybody's having any difficulties. So I put in join me in discovery, and I saw the little green text appeared. So you'll see anytime you make a change and you click outside, a green text appears, and that signals it's saved your change. And then you go in and you click View Project, and you'll see that it hasn't yet appeared. And part of it is just there can be a delay in our system as it's kind of taking in the information and from when it'll actually post into the public facing page. So keep going. It's saved. You can even, refresh the page here, and it's still the text is there. And ultimately it'll show up right here on the project. And then keep going. So yeah, so I'd make a note, depending on internet speed and just the platform latency, it might take a minute or so to appear. Just keep refreshing and go to the next step. So now we're going to click new workflow, because in any project, like in Penguin Watch, we've got your landing page, a workflow, and then you've got your tasks. So that's what we're going to build next. And creating a project can be as quick as a 5-minute process. What takes the most time is deciding, okay, what research questions do I really want to be asking the public? And the most time is just collecting your data and pre-processing it so it's appropriate for the task that you're asking. So I'm creating a workflow. You click Add a Task. You click Question. I'm showcasing a particular simple workflow. So, is there a cat? Is my research question that I'm going to be asking. I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to say no. And you can see it's a simple logic of if you have multiple tasks in a row, this would you would click, and in the drop-down menu, there'd be the option for the next task that you want that to branch off to. All right, so I've got the task set and I have the question set. And then in any project, you need what's going to fill in this subject viewer, so the actual subject. So I'm going to click. What's nice is we've built into our platform an example subject set just to make it easy as people are first building. Ultimately, you'll upload your own subjects, but I'm going to click Add an example and click yes to that. And then now I'm going to test this workflow. So there I have a lovely cat and a turkey. And is there a cat? Yes. And so there's my first. So I've, within just a few minutes with this project builder platform, you have everything that the research infrastructure makes available to you. And you have the image and the task. And this is what we call a workflow. So if I go to the landing page, I have my demo workflow, and it takes me into that workflow where I get to classify images. You can also see now it says join me in discovery. So finally our system kind of registered, oh yes, there's input into that, that section of the project builder. So that is the simplest part of building a project, which is we had the project details, we added some description, I created a workflow, and I put in the task, and I associated a subject set with it. I can also limit the subject height. Sometimes images are a little tall, and then it's a more, that one's cute, and then it's a shorter sized image. Is there a cat? Yes. So that was the first few steps. In this instruction sheet, I also showcase, okay, if you don't want to use you don't want to use our demo subject set for your actual project, so I'm going to show you how to upload your own data, or in this case, our test data. So in these folders, I shared with you the dog sample. So I'm going to show how to add a subject set. So I'm in the workflow. If I click subject sets, and I click new subject set, and I call it the dog demo set. And then the simplest way is just to select the images of interest and drag and drop them into the page and click upload new subjects. And now this subject set has 3 images. And when you click on the little eyeball, it shows the image. And then if I go back into the workflows, go back into the demo workflow, and rather than having kittens shown, I'm going to use my dog demo set. And I click test this workflow, and now you can see it's dogs. Because I've switched out which subjects that I'm looking at. And is there a cat? No, no cat in that one. And so that's, again, another simple part of the platform is just uploading your own subjects. I will note in a subject set, there's some instructional information on this page in terms of like what types of file formats are allowed. So MP4s for video files, MPEGs, audio subjects like MP3s. You can have audio and spectrogram images and just straight simple images. You can also have what's called multi-image subjects. So for example, you 3 images all linked together. So that's showing a raccoon. Oftentimes in camera trap projects, this is called, a camera trap that's automatically collecting data. It can be helpful to show a few images within a single subject. And this is, I didn't show this as a project example before, but this is our survey task where you might be choosing from many different species. And it just makes it really simple and allows you to add a lot of example images. That's a survey task type project. But the subject upload, it tells you what file formats are allowed. It also has links to our command line client and our Python Panoptes client. It's a Python-based, so that if you have more than, say, 1,000 images you're going to upload, you'll want to use that type of interface just to make it easier and you can see if there are any errors during the upload process. So that's the simple process of linking different subject sets to a workflow. And I keep repeating these, like this vocabulary, because there's specific terms we use in the interface, but workflow, subject set, task, those are the basic kind of components of our platform. Now I'm going to show how to build a tutorial. So it's really important for us that it's so clear to the participants what you're asking them to do. So this is the Penguin Watch tutorial. It's just a couple slides long. It tells people where you want to mark, what you want to ignore. It tells what to do if it's a blurry image, kind of the key gotchas as well as just the simple key instructions to follow. So the tutorial part is labeled tutorial in the menu. You click build a tutorial. And this is my cat task tutorial. And I think I have stuff I can copy and paste. Very simple things that I've put in the instructions. So welcome, this is where slide 1 instructions would go. These are just, a placeholder. Step 2 would be, this is where slide 2 instructions will go, and so on. And I'm going to add some media to the tutorial, meaning an image that would go along with my slides. And so going back into my trusty folder, I have cat tutorial number 1. So here's the tutorial media, and there you see it immediately kind of places itself within the tutorial. And step 2, I'll add that available media. Again, you feel free to swap in for this simple demo project anything you want. And then when you're actually building your own research project here, this is where you're really thoughtful about what kind of imagery is going to be most useful. Like you can see in the Penguin Watch tutorial, they give an example of a classified image as their first slide. So they just have images that are very relevant to the tutorial text. And then to actually link the tutorial to your workflow, you go into this associated tutorial section, you click cat task tutorial or whatever you might have called your tutorial. And then you can see that it'll take a moment to kind of make its way through our system, but here's the tutorial that automatically pops up when you arrive, and it has currently 2 slides. All right, so that's how to create a tutorial, how to link it to your workflow, and then I'm going to take a look at the time and see. There's also, I think I will showcase this piece of it as well. So I mentioned earlier how every project has about pages that talk about the research, who the team is that's leading the project. So I'm going to showcase how to input text into the about research page. And so there it's called about within the interface. And here you are within the open text box. You'll be able to flip between seeing the markdown, which is just how to set different formatting for the text within the page versus what it'll actually look like. So within that research section, I'm just going to put a simple placeholder text. This is where the info about the research will go. And I'll click outside and see that that turns green. And so then when I go to my project, it'll take a moment to kind of flow through the system, but it'll appear here within the research tab. And I wanted to showcase, because there's an aspect about our platform where rather than having a button that says add media in the about pages, we give a little bit more control over the media that goes into the about pages. And so I'm going to click into the media section and I'll follow the instructions. So in the media tab, there's a plus button where you can add more visuals. There's some instructions on what type of formats are allowed or allowable. So I'm going to choose an image from within my trusty project media. Right. So here in the project media, I put a placeholder image just so people can get a feel for how to use the media section. So it's uploading itself into the media section. Once it uploads, I'll then be able to take information from this page and bring it into the about page. I'm just going to give that a moment while it's loading. And while it's doing that, I'll show a different project just so you see. So in the media section, there's this cat dot. So this is the media that's uploaded. And underneath is a text information that you can copy and paste. What it's doing is it has what's called the markdown, or sort of the wrapper language for the website to know where to point to find that media. And so if I copy that, see if it's uploaded. Oh, try that again. Okay, so if I copy that into my about page, I'd say this might be the trickiest part of our interface, is moving between the about pages in order to show visual information. So, so this is just the text, and then this command, or this little bit of wrapper around the image itself. So that's this image here, allows it to then actually be shown on the page. So if I click View Project, go into the About page, ultimately it'll show up in about a moment or so. It also means that I can play around with the size. And so in the instructions, if you add an equals 500x, it allows you to reduce the size of the image on the screen. Because right now this is quite a big image. I don't need it to be that big. And so I'm going to add the equals 500x. And let me check that I'm doing that correctly. And now it's a smaller image. And yeah, there you go. All right. Just do that so that spacing is the same. All right, so let's see. Has it had time to make its way through the system yet? Not yet. So I'll come back, and this is, again, the public-facing page, and the image will show up here once it's kind of the latency through our platform. Oh, there it is. So here you have the image and the text. And research pages, again, are such a critical part of the site so that the participants really understand why you're doing this, what the goals are, why they should take part, why it's important. So there's a little bit more in terms of like adding an avatar, background image, which you can go through in the instructions on your own time. Collaborators page is really important. So I can add a collaborator, like this is my colleague, Chris, and I can make him a collaborator and add him. And then very important for you to know, the moment you add somebody, they have access to this button, delete this project. So be sure to only add collaborators that you very much trust, who really understand that they have a lot of power in this editor interface, and they could delete everything you've created. So just be very sure you want to add somebody. This is also where you can add translators. So if you are based in like a Spanish-speaking country, for example, and want to translate your site into Spanish, you can add translators, and they don't have access to the editor interface as a translator. They just have access to this wonderful translations interface, and they would see your project and they would be able to translate it into different languages. So that's how to add translators, that's how to add collaborators, and so on. Okay, so that is a very quick overview of the Project Builder platform, and how to build a project through this simple browser-based tool, how to build your workflow, how to upload subjects, and ultimately you would end up with a fully fleshed out project with all the components in it. And seeing the time, I'm gonna just move forward into a few other elements that I wanted to be sure to showcase. And we'll share. You know what? I'll even do this while I'm while I'm thinking of it. I want people to have access to these slides who are attending, and so I'm gonna post this into the chat, just so you have the access to the slides. Whenever I attend a webinar, I like just having all the materials. So I mentioned a few of the key words that we use. So project, the workflow, which is where the tasks happen, uploading subject sets. A key piece of our platform and how we have been able to track the quality of results is that every image is classified by many people. So that Penguin Watch project, I think it's 35 people tag every image, and then you aggregate those results. You create a consensus result based on all the individual classifications. And so one person might get things sort of wrong, or one person might do some of the image while somebody else will do other parts of the image. You bring all those classifications together, and for a subset of the data, you have expert classifications. And in projects, we see 97% accuracy, in the sense that the crowd's consensus result agrees with the expert 97% of the time. That's like in a Snapshot Serengeti project, for example. And for many projects, in the 3% of the time where the crowd consensus doesn't agree with the experts, and about half of those, so 1.5% of the images, even the experts don't agree with each other. You might have, images or animals far off in the distance that are hard to classify. That's through this crowdsourcing with multiple classifiers on every image that we build up the quality of classifications we need. There's specific policies that are good to be aware of. You have to have permission to use the data and post the data online since these are public sites. You have to commit to making the classifications publicly available, typically within 2 years. The reason it's not immediately available is because we want to be sure the students, or often it's a PhD student who might be leading the project, that they have time to write up their results. But then ultimately, we want all of the data to be open access. We just don't want to scoop early career researchers before they've been able to use the data. And long-term archiving of your research data is the responsibility of the research team. And we carefully follow data privacy rules. I think given the time, there's a few slides here that as you're working through what your project could be on the platform, there's just some guiding questions to talk through as a research team. Really hone in on what are you trying to find out? What data are you collecting? What's going to be feasible for the public to do? And that is part of the role that a few of my colleagues and I within Zooniverse can help with. As you're building your project, don't hesitate to reach out to us. And I'll share my email address at the end, and you can and we can help you make decisions for how to make it an accessible project to the public. Um, there's a key idea of as part of our project building process, there is what we call the beta review step, which is before it gets fully launched to the millions of people who are Zooniverse participants and you sharing it with your networks. We do what's called the beta review process. And so in that step, this is the slide I wanted. You go to your visibility page, you tag, you make sure your project is public and live. That doesn't mean it's launched. It's just that you're ready to apply for review. And the next step that happens is so you click for apply for review. One of us in the internal team, we do a quick internal review and we help make sure your project is ready for the beta. You make some updates based on that internal review. Now, the beta review means it gets sent out to tens of thousands of our participants who've signed up to be beta reviewers. And they give feedback through a standard form, and they give you classification data. And so you use that data to test, are you going to be able to get the quality you need through the consensus results, the aggregation process? And are they giving you feedback of like, oh, if you change the tutorial in this way, it'll be more clear. Or the task right now, I'm confused between step 2 and 3. So really helpful feedback from the beta reviewers. And then the research team refines the project based on their feedback. And then we do another quick internal review, and then we set a date to launch it to the full Zooniverse community and for you to share with your communities. Lots of media, press, communications. The launch is a really fun moment. And then you're committing, especially in the first few weeks after launch, to a couple hours every day to be responsive in the talk forums. And then over time, that evens out to maybe a couple hours a week to be responsive in the talk forums, as long as your classification data is needed. So there's a whole other talk I could give about machine learning integration in citizen science. As ocean health researchers and just how much you care about our planet, but also how people are interacting with the planet. When we think about machine learning and AI in citizen science, there's a really important aspect about ethical considerations. And so just signaling to you all, we have a AI ethics framework that is in its alpha form right now that we're testing with a few projects, and then we'll be rolling out to the whole platform. But just best practices and recommendations on communication, transparency, data ownership, different aspects of machine learning in science that we're implementing within our platform as a responsible research practice. Okay, so coming to the very end of just noting ways to get involved. if you have a data set that you find yourself spending hours tagging, labeling, transcribing in some way, consider using Zooniverse as a way to crowdsource that effort and just build efficiency. It's also, as you know, I was mentioning, as an astronomer, I've always enjoyed and found meaning in engaging the public in science. And so many who are drawn to using Zooniverse also have an interest in just engaging the public in research and lifting the veil on how science works. So think about Zooniverse as a platform to help meet those research and engagement goals. But also think if you might not have a project, think in your networks, in the researchers that you know, or in the projects that you have on your radar, or when you're at a conference and you're hearing somebody talk about, I just spent 3,000 hours classifying data, let them know about Zooniverse. Like I appreciate and welcome you to be an ambassador to the Zooniverse platform. I also welcome you to participate in Zooniverse projects. Like if you were intrigued by Ocean Eyes or Penguin Watch or Snapshot Wisconsin or astronomy projects, I welcome you to join us. It's a public platform. The more, the merrier. And then there's this ambassador program for people who might be interested in helping me train other people in using Zooniverse. I mentioned, our main institutions are US and UK. I have now a pilot program of research ambassadors in countries around the world who are running in-person and virtual trainings for colleagues and researchers in their communities. And so email me at contact@Zooniverse if you might have an interest in being a Zooniverse ambassador. This year's cohort, they're going strong, and then I'll be starting next year's cohort, reaching out to people starting in August, but I could do some preliminary support between now and August as well. So those are three main ways to get involved. I welcome you. I'd love if you wanted to use the platform or be part of the work we're doing. And then the other, this came up just as we were chatting before the talk, I wanted to share about the Association for Advancing Participatory Sciences. So Zooniverse might not be quite the right tool for you, but there are many other citizen science tools, platforms, but also best practices and resources. It's a global community of people who are engaging the public in research in meaningful ways. And this is one of the professional organizations that brings us together. There's a whole slew of resources, but check out this website if you have an interest in exploring in your careers around participatory science or community science, including, if it's hands-on in-person work or if it's online digital citizen science like Zooniverse. With that, I will pause, and I thank you so much for your time and to the organizers for including me in your webinar series. Thanks.
Thank you, Laura, to you, to the information. I am sure that it will be very useful for projects and, how you say, for designs together. I'm so happy to have moderated this webinar. It was a great experience for me too, to learning about your work and about this platform and discovering a different perspective of science. Like you say, it's not an individual path or just about an academic achievement. It's about understanding how work the universe, how work the planet, the nature. So make these connections between science and people stronger. So yeah, it's about to building networks, to working together, to investigate the world and develop like all these investigations because science belongs to everyone. So it will be very, very inspired to know about you. I'm sure I will try to make my own project in this platform. Like this webinar is recorded, so you can make like have this video to learn and to have like a tutorial for begin your own project. So feel inspired to start and to share this platform and this tool with your college and with your partners. So okay, and start to generate impact and helping people in nature around the world. So thank you, Laura. If anyone have maybe a question or a comment, just feel free. It will be a very useful hour. And so thank you, Laura.
Thanks so much for having me.
Maybe if you still have time, I see there was a question in the chat from Laura Morales. Are you still happy to answer this?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so Laura is saying, and in those kind of projects for machine learning and identifying something who might be or not, who or how to declare if the given answer is correct. I also work with tons of images, but did not apply machine learning, but in the future might be a good solution for analyzing my images in the future.
Oh, that's a great question and comment. So the first is there's a feature in our platform called feedback, where you can upload some expert classified data, a few hundred images. And then as people are classifying, you can designate a certain number of the subjects that'll give feedback. And so maybe you'll classify 3 images, and then the 4th one will have feedback attached to it, and it'll say, oh, yes, there was a sea lion in that image, or actually, no, there wasn't, and this is something that might have confused you in that image. And so when people are first classifying, you might make that more frequent, and then over time, you make the feedback less frequent. So that's built into our system and really helpful. Participants love to know, in general, are they on the right track? They don't want it for every image, of course, because part of it is you're trying to create new classifications, but having occasional feedback is super helpful. And then on the machine learning side, completely understandable when a researcher might come and say, I haven't yet explored machine learning tools, or I'm not sure if it's quite going to work with my project. And so some of our projects, it's just if the research team doesn't have that internal expertise, totally okay just to pure, crowdsource it with humans. Often we can make connections between researchers who might have similar types of projects, like the Kelp Quest project and the Floating Forest project. They're similar data, and so the research teams are talking with each other. And the Floating Forest project has a lot of deep machine learning expertise, and they're sharing it with the other project. In the about pages, if a research team thinks that at any point in the future they might use machine learning, we always recommend that they should signal that to the participants. Even if they're not using it now, if they think they might in the future, it's good to let the participants know, just as part of the disclosure and transparency. But yeah, great question. Thank you, Laura Morales, for that question.
Thank you so much. I hope that answers your question, Laura Morales. And I see that Laura Trouille has also shared her email in the chat. So feel free to reach out to her if there are any more questions.
Yeah, definitely. Don't hesitate. So I mentioned being an astronomer, but talking to a group of ocean researchers, the most enjoyable part of my job is connecting with researchers around the world who are trying to figure out how best to unlock their data. And so really don't hesitate to reach out. We really enjoy helping people figure out what's the right tool and how best to use it. So thank you again for having me join your webinar series.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who has been in this webinar for your attention and your participation. And don't forget to have a look on our LinkedIn webpage to know about any upcoming webinars. And thank you, Laura Valentina, for moderating this webinar as well. Thank you, Laura Trouille, for being a speaker in this webinar series.
Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Have a good day. It was a great experience. Thank you to all.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. See you.